What's up, beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Crystal, this is Blonde Book Reviews, and today we have something a little bit different for you. So I'm going to be participating in a number of readathons in November. I obviously need to play PickPong again because my house is finally back to a point where I can play it. I'm co-hosting for the Get a Clue Readathon hosted by Rainy Blue Reads. And I have just found out that Chris from Chris's Corner is hosting a readathon based on TBR game. Phase 10 chooses my TBR, a readathon in November called Phase Out Your TBR. The whole point of this is these various like boards that you need to pick different prompts from to complete your first phase. First phase is 2 sets of 3. So effectively I need to read 6 books to complete my phase, and I can pick numbers across the various colors to complete my phase, 3 of one and 3 of another. Sorry about the kids screaming next door. It is after school and they're having a fun time, but this is the only time I can film. So I decided that I'm going to do things a little bit differently because I'm also participating in Get a Clue Readathon, and they are prompts that are being dropped randomly. Like, I have no control over when they are dropped. And obviously I haven't played PickPong yet. I have no idea what like prompts I'm going to be getting for that. I've decided that I'm going to use Phase 10, the real game, to help me pick a number of books that could potentially be used for those other 2 readathons. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull cards from this deck until I complete the 3 and 3 phase. And then whatever books are selected to complete those prompts are the only ones that I am allowed to pick for PickPong and Get a Clue Readathon. Obviously, I have to put a disclaimer. If there is a Get a Clue prompt that is dropped that there is absolutely no way I can fulfill with those books, understandably, I'm allowed to pull something else in, but that is the only reason that I would be allowed to pick something else entirely. So we could end up with, 6 books potential, or we could end up with so many more than that, because we're just going to keep pulling until we end up with our phase. Now obviously wilds, usually when you play phase 10, you are allowed to pull in and use to complete your phase. We're not allowed to do that in phase 10. In phase 10, a wild will be something that you need to roll a dice to decide how many extra prompts that you're going to have to complete. In the kindness of playing Phase Out Your TBR, in the same way that Chris has played PickPongathon in the last 3 years, I am going to try and keep it as real as possible and do the exact same thing. So if I get a wild, I will be rolling a d6 and potentially adding extra prompts, but it won't be forcible prompts. Like, these are just going to be extra potentials for me to add to my other TBRs. This is my way of participating and having a fun time and playing it, but also not ending up with like 50 books on my TBR. This is how I'm going to do it. And I hope that's okay, Chris, but I really wanted to participate. As soon as I saw that you were doing this, I wanted to be a part of it, but I just knew that there was absolutely no way that I could do the 6 and 6, the 3 and 3, as well as the random prompts that were coming up. So I couldn't commit to 6 books and know that they were going to work for my other readathons. So this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do random pulls until I get my phase, and all of the books that are included in those pulls are the ones that I have to pick from to complete my other 2 TBRs. I hope that's okay. And when you do phase 2, I will play correctly. I'm just doing it a little differently this month because of everything else I have going on. So now that we have done that huge introduction, I will have Chris linked down below, as well as their announcement video, as well as the Get a Clue Readathon announcement video and all the other co-hosts, etc. But for now, let's jump into our first pull. So we have a blue 11, which is a favorite genre. Now, I'm not going to be able to stick these up like Chris does. I'm just going to have them sitting over here, and we're going to see how we go. Why does that dog start to bark every single time I try and film? I'm honestly so sorry. Next pull is a blue 10, and for this one we have water on the cover. We have a green 8, which is High Hopes. We have a red 12, which is an adult book. I've got plenty of those. We have another 12. This is a green 12, and that is an anticipated read. So obviously we're going to pull our 12s out and we're going to try and complete a phase with that. Our next pull is a blue 7, which is favorite color on the cover. Next pull, fuck, is a wild. So I can include that as my 12 to complete my 12 phase, as in I got 3 12s. But I then have to do the roll this dice at the end to see how many extra prompts I have to pull for my extra potentials. The next pull is a yellow 1, which is air on the cover. Whew, that's gonna be hard. Next one is Another Fucking Wild. Oh my God, are you kidding me? My game is as mean to you as yours is as mean to me, Chris, okay? Alrighty, so our next pull is hopefully a number that I already have, because if that's the case, then we have completed our phases, because we have... Okay, so we have managed to get a green one, which is lowest rated. So if I pull over my green one and my yellow one, we then have our phase. So we have our 12s and we have our ones. Obviously these are like the mandatory reads that I have to read to complete the phase off your TBR, but then I also have these extra ones which are going to be the ones that I have as potentials to grab from as well. But I also need to roll 2d6s to determine how many extra pulls that I have to do to get extra potentials for my other readathon. Oh my God, I don't have a d6 with me right now, so I'm just gonna bring it up on my computer. Okay, so we have a dice roller here. We're gonna roll it. So we got a 3 and a 1, so that's 4 more pulls I have to do. Pull number 1 of 4. I don't remember what she does in a skip, but I'm gonna count that as me being able to skip this prompt and not have to find a book for it. Pull number 2 is a green 10, which is set outside your country. 3 of 4 is another skip, and 4 of 4 is a yellow 10, which is author you love. Okay, so let me go and find a book for all of these pulls. These are obviously my 6 mandatories, which I can pick which color 12 I want for these wilds, and then the other ones will pull out. So let me go pull some books and we'll come back in a minute and talk about all of my potentials that I can choose from for TBR for this month when I play PickPong and Get a Clue Readathon. Oh, this is gonna be fun. Why do I do this to myself? Okay, so it's a lot later. Addie's upstairs sleeping, so you're gonna get me kind of semi-whispering at you. Let's go through the books that I selected now that I've had some time to sit down with those prompts. So I'm gonna split this into mandatory and possibility prompts, or books really. So the mandatory prompts are gonna be the 6 that I have to complete in order to complete my phase, and then the optional or possibility prompts are the additional ones that aren't necessarily mandatory for me to complete this phase, but that I have to select from in order to complete my other 2 TBRs, which is PickPong and Get a Clue. So my first mandatory one was my lowest rated on my TBR, and this happens to be one that I'm actually really excited to read, is As Seen on TV by Meredith. Everyone says that this is like adorable and steamy Gilmore Girl vibes, which to me sounds ideal. So I was really surprised to see this was my lowest rated, not gonna lie. So I'm not sad or mad about this. I think I'm gonna have a really good time. The only downfall is this doesn't have an audiobook, so I have to read it. The next prompt I got was something that has air on the cover. And for this, I went with One by One by Ruth Ware. Now, obviously you can see there is snow blowing all over this cover, so I figure it's got wind, which is a form of air. So that's how I interpreted that prompt. This is a isolated thriller, which I hear is not everyone's favorite Ruth Ware. You either love it or you hate it. So I have given a lot of Ruth Ware's 3.5 stars. So it'll be interesting to see if I'm on the parallel that prefers this to her others, or if this is even worse than her others. For anticipated read, I obviously can't go past Iron Flame, which is the sequel to Fourth Wing. It's kind of just a given that this is going to be on pretty much everyone's TBR for November. So I'm not going to miss out on that boat. If I can get it on my TBR, I'm going to, and this is the prompt for that. Now, obviously, I am on Team Colonel Mustard for the Get a Clue Readathon. So we get bonuses if we read yellow books. So there will be a couple yellow books you see on here for me to try and have those options to get those bonuses. And for next one, we got a prompt which is adult. The dirty person in me instantly thought of a smutty romance. And then I realized I had this book, Yes, No, Maybe So by Becky Albertalli and Aisha Saeed, which I thought was a way, but looking into it, I think it actually follows 2 adults. So it is actually an adult book. Yellow cover. So yeah, all I know about this is that we have 2 people that are one's a campaigner and one it's kind of like a forced proximity boyfriend of convenience type situation. I think I'm not 100% sure. I just know that it was kind of had its moment on Bookstagram a while ago, and it is a yellow cover, so I figured why not throw it on. Next we got odd page number, and for this I figured I would go really backlist, because the whole point of this readathon is to try and get books off your physical TBR. So I picked all books that are on my physical TBR except for Iron Flame, just because it hasn't arrived yet. And for this I went with a Jodi Picoult. It is yellow. It's called Perfect Match. I don't know anything about this at all, other than the fact that we have attorney who prosecutes child molesters, and she has found out that her son Nathaniel has been sexually abused by her family priest, and so he's now gone mute, and she kind of has to try and like put it through the courts. It's the typical Jodie Picoult, hard-hitting, difficult topic. It's one of her like originals, which I prefer her original writing to her new writing, so I'm excited to pick this up because this is one of the last like kind of old ones that I haven't read. So that's what we're going to do for this book. Now that was for odd page number, and it has 351 pages. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that. Now the last mandatory prompt that I got was something with space on the cover. So for this I went with a new series. It's called Navigating the Stars by Maria V. Schneider. I had this on my Kindle and I think I started it and got like 20% in, but then I found the hardcover books, then I found the physical books, and yeah, I figured it's got space on the cover. It's kind of like that good thing to like split up everything else I have. I have like a romance, a thriller, another kind of like romance, and then like a hard-hitting contemporary. So I figured a sci-fi kind of like breaks all that up a little bit. It follows like a main character who it's like 2,471 and she has to do like time jumps, and then she ends up like older than certain people in her life, and there's like a whole situation, but apparently one of the warrior planets like goes silent, and then she's like sent on a mission. So I don't really know, I'm going into it blind, but I love this cover, and I love the fact that it's sci-fi because I usually enjoy sci-fi. Now let's jump into our potentials. So these are books that like I don't have to read to pass this, but that I have to reach for first when trying to fulfill PickPong or Get a Clue Readathon. So the first one is a book that I have high hopes for. And for this, I couldn't go past Gideon and the Ninth by Tasman Muir. I know that the new one in this series, I think book 4, is coming out early 2024. I have had this on my TBR for too long, and I am very nervous, but very excited. So I think it's like pretty much queer necromancers is all I really know about this, but I know that you get bonus points for reading queer literature for the Get a Clue Readathon, so I figured this is a good option. Although it's not yellow, it does give me those bonus points for that, and I do have very high hopes for this because I have heard it is fantastic. I'm worried that it's going to be writing that I'm not quite able to wrap my head around, but I'm hoping that it does surprise me and reads easily. So that's what I'm going to do for a possibility prompt of a book that I am highly anticipating. Next possibility prompt is something that has my favorite color on the cover, and obviously my favorite color is yellow and green. Because I'm obviously participating in Thingy and I am Colonel Mustard, I went with yellow. However, I think there might be there's no green on the cover, but that's okay because we'll just go with yellow at this point. And this is an ARC copy, so I don't know if the actual cover has this cover on the front, but this follows a kind of like forced proximity romance between two gaming nerds, and they decide that yeah, it's gonna be funny and bantery, and then they fall in love. So apparently it's for fans of the hating game, which I absolutely hated. So we'll see how this one goes, but it kind of sold to me a little different than that, so I'm hoping that I enjoy it. The next one is a book with water on the cover. So I decided to pick one of my 23 books to read in 2023 because I am so far behind on that list. I don't even know how many I've done at this point. I probably need to check because they all got moved in the move, and now they're like within my shelves rather than separated like they used to be. So I have to go back and watch that video to figure out what's still left to read. But one that I know it is, because it still has my like sticky note of where I can get the audiobook before I did my audiobook stickers, is See You in September by Charity Norman. This is a cult thriller is what I've been told. I was sold this from one of my bookstagram friends, and I pretty much want to go in blind. Apparently it's a cult and a girl and she's all alone, and that's all I need to know because I love a good thriller. Cult thrillers really like always surprised me, so that was enough for me to be considered. And there is water on the cover. She is literally standing at a dock with water. Now our next prompt that is a possibility is our favorite genre. So my favorite genre is usually either a thriller or a fantasy. I kind of jump between the two. If I'm fantasied out, I'll head down the thriller route. So I went with Black Widows by Kate Quinn, which is a thriller. We have a guy named Blake who is dead, and we don't know which one of his wives killed him. Yes, you heard that correctly. He has multiple wives. So I think it's like the only thing the three women had in common was their husband. And as of this morning, that they're each accused of his murder. So I'm very excited for this. I love a whodunit thriller, And this one I believe is based in the Australian, no it's not the Australian outback, it's in Utah. I wouldn't exactly call this a yellow cover, but it's close enough that if they count orange I might still be able to score the points. I'm not sure how it's going to work. It's a thriller anyway, so it counts. The next possibility prompt was one that is a book that is set outside of your country. So with this I went completely different. Rather than going to like a book that's set in America, I went for a book that is set in Germany, and that is The German Midwife by Mandy Robotham. Mandy is an Australian author, so I wanted to support Aussie authors because obviously in November Mel from a book friend named Mel and a couple other Australian YouTubers are hosting an Australian read along, which is all about like reading Australian authors. So I figured I'd throw a couple of those on there. And The German Midwife is in 1944 Germany, and it follows a midwife who is part of the German concentration camps. And I am super excited to read in this time frame again. A friend of mine is currently over in Warsaw, and she's sending me all these photos of going through the concentration camps, and it is just like tugging at my heartstrings and making me really want to read a historical fiction. So we're going to go with The German Midwife by Mandy Robotham for an Australian author and a book that is set somewhere other than I live. And our final possibility prompt that I pulled is a book that is by one of your favorite authors. And so I pulled a yellow cover from a favorite author, which is Jack Heath, and this is called Money Run. This is one of his like YA or junior fiction ones. I have no idea what it's about. I found it in an op shop one day. It has no audiobook. All I know is that it is signed from him by 2016, which I was super stoked for because it's the only signature of his I have. But yeah, so Jack Heath's a favourite of mine, as you all know, and this is one of his junior fiction ones. It's yellow, so it's going to get me those bonus points. And it's nice and short, because it's good because it doesn't have an audiobook, so short is happy for me. There you have it. They're my possibilities for the Phase Out Your TBR readathon that is hosted by the lovely Chris. Obviously there is 6 that so up to here and down, these 6 are compulsory that I need to complete in order to complete my phase. These are other possibilities that I can grab for to help complete PickPong or my other TBR game that I am co-hosting and participating in readathon wise in November. So, you know, these are kind of like my November possibilities. Stay tuned. I will be posting my PickPong TBR next week, so you can see how many of these end up on there and how many extra books that I have to facilitate to complete that TBR. And then also stay tuned because I will be talking to you about my possibilities for the Whodunit Readathon as well. I'm going to talk about some yellow books that I recommend for you if you are on Team Colonel Mustard. If you've made it this far and you're participating in any of these readathons, make sure you leave a comment down below and let me know what you're participating in and what team you're on, and even the book you're most excited to read in November. And if you have nothing to drop in the comments below, you can drop a money emoji down below. And until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend and happy reading. Bye.